Hello, aloha. I wish I knew what to say, how to say hello in Sri Lanka, but welcome everyone to our 40th year celebration of the Transportation Toastmasters Club. My name is Renee Payak. I am the president of this club.
Ayubowan.
Oh.
In Sri Lanka. Ayubowan.
Ayubowan sounds like.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ayubowan.
Iboa. Thank you, Letitia. I am the president of this club. I have some quick announcements and I'm going to introduce our fabulous Toastmaster of the day. I wonder if you can guess who that's going to be. Announcements. We had excellent representation of our club at last Saturday's area evaluation and international speech contest. Greg Geikema participated in both contests. Manesh Modi participated in the speech contest, and Vanessa Askew participated in the evaluation contest. And it was wonderful to see them all participate and represent our club. Vanessa is able to move on to the district competition. She placed first in her category, and that's going to be on March 19th from noon to 3. And this is our 40th year celebration, as I mentioned. So we are planning more than one celebration. We are looking to plan an in-person get-together in the summer. And we're also updating this delightful little book that past celebrations had. We've got some copies of it, and there's some like newspaper clippings and things from like the 80s and such. So it's fun to see those. So we're planning to update that on covering members and their accomplishment over the years. Our Toastmaster of the day has been a Toastmaster for 13 years, and in 2014 completed the highest education level and was awarded the Distinguished Toastmasters plaque and medallion. That is a challenge to get, but I know very rewarding for those Toastmasters. I feel like we're really blessed in District 62 with lots of distinguished Toastmasters. Mary has more enthusiasm and energy than anyone I know. She has served our many club roles and is serving as our district program quality director. She has so much passion for Toastmasters. It is my pleasure to introduce our Toastmaster of the day, Mary Gibbs.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Renee. Renee is also our district administrative manager. At this time, I am going to introduce you to our reigning district champion of international speaking to give us a welcome, none other than Mr. Greg Geikema.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mary. So I have 90 seconds to give you a welcome. What can I say in 90 seconds? 40 years our club has been around. I can think in terms of a decade. 40 years is a long time. In 1982, I was 9 years old. And what has changed? Well, a lot's changed. I mean, right now we're on a Zoom Teams meeting, but what stays the same is communication. We need to be good communicators. And if you can speak well and get your point across to people in less time, then they'll help you become successful. It will help you in life. So what has helped me the most is the self-confidence. I would say in my 12 years as Toastmasters, I've got a lot of self-confidence. I'm telling you, even with all the time I have, the leadership in this room, it's kind of breathtaking seeing all of these faces of these people who've led some of them the whole time I've been in Toastmasters, some recent. So I'm just a little bit nervous speaking in front of you people. So I look forward to the meeting today. Hopefully our club is around 40 years from now, and however we're doing it, however we're meeting, communication and leadership is also going to be important. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Greg. At this time, I'd like to recognize the dignitaries in the Zoom room, starting with my trio member, Mr. Douglas Brinker, Doug, give a hands up or wave.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Happy 40th anniversary, transportation.
Thank you very much. Avar, our district director.
Thank you very much, Mary. And hello, everyone. Congratulations on 40 years. That is awesome. So I'm just so happy to be here just for a minute, though, to celebrate with you. So back to you, Mary.
Thank you. I just saw you there. So introducing Doug before you, just an apology. And also I'd like to introduce you to Bron Mamoni. He is also a club growth director. For what district are you?
I'm from District 86, Ontario, Canada.
Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Bruce Franson, past international director. Bruce have served in most of the Toastmasters roles internationally.
Thanks, Mary. And just a quick congratulations to the club. I congratulate you on your, perseverance and dedication to get to this milestone for a club. There's not a lot of clubs in Toastmasters that make it this far, and you should take a lot of pride in that, especially today as you celebrate that milestone.
Thank you so much, Bruce. Barb Sharon is our in-division director.
Thank you, Mary. It's my pleasure to be here today to celebrate with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Diane Sinclair is our C Division director.
Congratulations and happy 40th anniversary. So proud of this club. You're strong, really, really strong after 40 years. And it is very nice to see that Zoom didn't take you out like it has several in our district. So I am so glad you're all here and congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you for coming. Is there anybody I did not recognize?
Can you hear me, Mary? This is Penny Dewey.
Oh, Penny, I can hear you.
I haven't been able to get my picture up yet, so.
Thank you. Penny Dewey is the founding member of Transportation Toastmasters Club. Without Penny, there would be no Transportation Toastmasters. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I do know that Doug Kudo and also Matt Klonowski are also dignitaries in Toastmasters International. We're going to be hearing from both of them very, very soon. But right now, I'd like to introduce you to our timer for today, who is John Gachuga. John, will you please explain the timing? The speakers have 10 to 12 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster Mary. And again, as the president said, we thank you so much for what you do for this club and the whole district. Welcome to our dignitaries. As a timer, my role is to time the speeches, all people who speak, and our goal is always to be able to stay within time. And so Mary will give me more directions on where to bring the green, but when you have a minute or so left, then the green light will come in, have a minute or so, then the yellow, and then when the time is up, the red will come. Then you have 30 minutes to conclude the speech. With that, back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, John. I'd also like to recognize Paulette. Paulette is a Lemire. She's my Lemire Ed Debutant's sister. So thank you so much for coming. I think this might be your first Toastmasters meeting.
Yes, it is. And I want to thank you for inviting me. It's exciting. And 40 years is such a long time. So again, congratulations to the team. Thank you again.
Thank you. And we hope you'd sign the dotted line to join us after today. Also, VJ Jack Daly is a longtime former member of Transportation Toastmasters. And if there's anybody I missed, please put it in the chat. we're going to move on to get to the meaty portion of our meeting today. We're going to hear from our distinguished speakers, starting with none other than Mr. Douglas Kudo, who is still a member. He has been a member of Toastmasters since 1973. And we thank him for his continuous support and thank him for always saying yes to the ask. Doug Kudo is going to be speaking to us today with a topic called Back to Basics, Celebrating Our Success. Doug has been a member / employee of transportation for a number of years. I'm just getting here to the meat of his introduction. He is an independent, here we go. Doug served in all offices, including TM Board of Directors from 92 through 94. He's a retired Air Force officer. He was a senior executive for the state of Michigan as well as the state of Iowa. He's a current independent consultant working transportation and technology opportunities. Doug was also the chief information officer in charge of all of the technology for Michigan Department of Transportation. And so without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Mr. Douglas Kudo, our first speaker for today, Back to Basics, Celebrating Our Success, Mr. Douglas Kudo.
Thank you, Mary. It's good to see so many smiling faces at today's meeting. I can remember when there were just one speaker, one evaluator, and a timer as we struggled through different periods. But this club has persevered and is now celebrating 40 years. And for that, you're to be congratulated. In some way, I feel proud to be a part of that as well. What I'd like to do today is kind of look back a little bit on Toastmasters. There's a little book that Toastmasters has put out titled Personally Speaking. It's the collection of writing and articles from the Toastmaster magazine that were put together by our founder, Ralph Smedley. I went back to the article he wrote on the occasion of Toastmasters International's 40th anniversary, which occurred in October of 1964. It was shortly after that, in 1965, that Dr. Smedley passed away. So this is among some of his final writings. But his articles always talked about the value of the program, the reason he started Toastmasters, and what it meant. So just as a quick reminder, and Bruce, you probably know this history as well. Toastmasters started in 1924 in the YMCA. Dr. Smedley saw a need for communication, for management and leadership in community organizations. So the first club, club number 1, was actually founded in the YMCA in Santa Ana, and then grew from there as people heard about what the club was doing in neighboring communities. They wanted to start their own clubs. And so that resulted in the Toastmasters growing in a number of areas. There were 4 basic principles that Dr. Smedley talks about in this anniversary article. And I think they apply today as they did when the organization was founded. The first is to keep it simple. There's nothing hard about public speaking. The principles, the mechanics go back to Greek philosophers when they talked about communication in the way we communicate. And so as we teach people the basics of a presentation, to have an opening, to create a body, and to wrap up with a close, reminding people what you just told them, that formula works very well. And as people learn that, they become better communicators. Toastmasters, he says, is also a do-it-yourself activity, so that people can work on the things that they would like to work on to improve their speaking skills. In some of his other writing, and I've talked to a number of folks over the years, I always encourage people to use the Toastmaster Club as a laboratory. It's a good place to try things. It's low risk. You can give a presentation, and if it totally bombs, your club members will give you some positive feedback, how to build on that. They'll talk to you about things you might want to do a little bit differently to be more successful in future communication. I remember in one of my early presentations as a Toastmaster, I tried to tell jokes. I was learning about humor. I didn't feel very good at it. And they really got to be pretty bad. But over time, I did learn a little bit about successful humor, not to dent the great people. And that really helped. The thing that's really important about Toastmasters is you get feedback. And Dr. Smedley started in 1924. In 1950, there was a gentleman by the name of Edward Deming that talked about continuous improvement. And some of the same principles in improving an organization were there. And he helped rebuild Japan after the war with those concepts. But in 1950, when Dr. Deming was doing his work, Toastmasters was already at it for 26 years. So what we do is not new, and we know it works. It can lift up not only individuals, but organizations. The third concept is we assume that people want to improve themselves, and that's why they come to a club. Most people join a club because they have a specific reason. In my case, I was a brand new lieutenant. I ended up as a commander of a support group. I had about 750 airmen in that group. And in those days, every commander had to conduct a monthly commander's call, where we addressed the folks that were under our command and talked about policy changes, answered questions, whatever was happening around the Air Force Base. That made me really nervous. 750 people was a lot of folks when I stood up in that auditorium. I happened to mention that to a colleague who was a Toastmaster, and he invited me to join the Langley Air Force Base Toastmasters Club. We met twice a month for dinner. And I began to focus more on the mechanics of speaking, the same thing that just about every Toastmaster goes through. I chose to stay because I was enjoying working with the people and the camaraderie of a club. And we find that's true of most Toastmasters. People join for a specific reason, but if they're going to stay beyond that reason, it's because they like being around the club where they belong. They like being associated with people that are growing like themselves and can help them grow. So I share that with you because I think that's important to understand that there's some folks that are going to join our club, will stay for a period of time, and when they master what they came to do, they will move on and they'll be successful in their career in community. And there'll be others that will stay beyond that. Which takes me to the fourth point, and that is we learn in moments of enjoyment. People want to grow and have fun. I was chairing a meeting at the Transportation Research Board in January. And it was the last session of the day, and it was kind of some heavy topics for speakers. And there were a couple folks in the room that I knew, and I said something to them. I said, 2 minutes, giving them the 2-minute football warning, and we're going to start the program. They cheered, raised their hands, and started a wave. So the entire energy in the room went through a wave as you would find in a football stadium. But you know, that woke everybody up. And everybody was laughing, and it made it much easier for me to start the meeting and much easier to for the speakers that were speaking that day. There's one area in Toastmasters that I think is really crucial that can help you in everything you do, and that's our evaluation concept. We learn to give people, and Dr. Smedley called it people improve through criticism. I think we try to be a little bit more empathetic than just criticism sounds. So we want to be constructive, give people strong, some ideas on how they can improve. I've used those concepts as a supervisor, as a manager, as a leader when talking with people, whether it's doing a formal evaluation of job performance or just trying to correct something immediately standing on a flight line. And I would encourage you to really understand what we mean by feedback and constructive criticism, because I think that can serve you as a manager. So I started Toastmasters in 1973. Today, I still use all the skills that I've learned over all those years. I'm still speaking at a number of events. I've got a couple of companies that have me come in and talk about how to do business with transportation organizations. I'm doing webinars and I'm serving on a panel. I chair a cybersecurity subcommittee for the Transportation Research Board. I've got 350 members. And that's one reason you don't see me that much, because that's pretty consuming. Cybersecurity is a very hot topic right now in the public sector, and it really keeps me pretty busy. I'm organizing sessions, and I've used the format we use for our club meetings and practices. I did a session in Australia a few years back, and all the speakers were off time. I kept my timer going, and I told them ahead of time if they ran over at the 1 minute mark, I would stand up and lead the audience in the applause and thank them for their presentation. As soon as I stood up, every one of them wrapped up their presentation. So what we do here today and every one of our club meetings has an application elsewhere. And then I serve as an organizer moderator for sessions. Moderator is just another title for a Toastmaster of the day. But what the Toastmaster does is guides a meeting. A moderator in any of these sessions does the same thing. So for those of you that are guests and are checking out the Transportation Toastmaster Club, you would be joining some of the finest members we have, as you can see from those that are here today. and I look forward to meeting some of you in person at your summer event. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. Kudo, for that awesome, awesome presentation today. We got to know you even more better. Now I understand why you look so young, because you're so busy. We thank you for giving us those 4 nuggets, and I hope everybody was paying attention to those nuggets. You want to keep your club membership high because of attrition. Toastmasters come and Toastmasters leave for different reasons. Also, you learn better in moments of enjoyment. So make your meetings fun. We try to make our meetings fun here at Transportation Toastmasters. I see that DeAndre Carter joined us. He represented us as an international champion of public speaking all the way to the regional level. And I do not see him right now, but I wanted to recognize him. And also Carrie Cargill used to be a club president who moved on. So, and Jennifer Fields. At this time, I am going to introduce to you our next speaker for today. And we are so excited that he said yes to the ask. Thank you, Third Doug Brinker, for recommending Matthew Klonowski to us. So we are getting ready to embark on yet another great speech. Matthew loves history because he has seen so much of it. While he has only been in Toastmasters since 1989, he has seen many changes in Toastmasters and expects more in the future. His Toastmaster credentials include Distinguished Toastmaster, District 60 Toastmaster of the Year 2 times, District Webmaster 8 times, and District Top 3 Speech Contest trophies 6 times across all 4 different types of contests. He served as TI Brand Ambassador, Pathways Ambassador, and Pathways Guide. Even with his membership crossing 33 years, 5 decades, and 2 millennia, he has found the long history of Toastmasters fascinating and reason to expect Toastmasters will be around for many more years. Today, he will take us on a journey into past and possible future of Toastmasters International. Welcome to present 238 years of Toastmasters history, Matthew Klonowski. 238 years of Toastmasters history, Matt Klonowski.
Welcome to 238 years of Toastmaster history. Wait, what? I thought Toastmasters started in 1924 in a basement in California. That happened. But as most things in history, there's more to the story and tidbits that get left out of just the headlines. We're going to travel back 119 years to the beginnings when Ralph Smedley was just a college graduate. And then there's history that hasn't happened yet. Wait, what? I'm talking about the future. Toastmasters has indeed survived all these years to today. Will it survive? When it survives another 118 years, what will it be like? Let's go, members and guests, on a time machine travel. Hold on, we're going to travel fast. Off we go. It's 1903, autumn. George Sutton is the Secretary General of the Bloomington, Illinois YMCA. And George Sutton did 2 amazing things to start Toastmasters. He envisioned a club for public speaking for youth in the YMCA. And the second thing he did was magnificent. He hired away from another local YMCA an education director who had recently graduated from university, Ralph Smedley. But let's stop. What else was going on in the world around that time? What else launched? Orville Wright. He launched an airplane. It flew 37 meters for 12 seconds and then gently crashed. There's a legend in Toastmasters that a young man named Bill Simpson was in those early meetings, and he went over time and saw the red signal and crashed his icebreaker. But he survived just like Orville did. Let's move ahead for the next 2 decades. Ralph Smedley, using his management skills and his skills that he learned even teaching Toastmasters, moved up in the YMCA. He changed jobs and moved to various cities, at each one starting another Toastmasters club. Sadly, in every one of those instances, those clubs folded when Ralph Smedley left. They were just blips on the radar. 1922, Ralph Smedley had risen to Secretary General of his own YMCA in Santa Ana, California. He was very busy for 2 years as they built a brand new building for the YMCA. And it opened to great fanfare in April 1924. And then something happened that could have stopped Toastmasters from ever happening. You think the pandemic is scary. Ralph Smedley got a bacteria, typhoid. Ralph Smedley got typhoid fever and got very sick. Fortunately, he recovered. And in October, on a Tuesday night, October 21st at 7 p.m., he convened the first original Toastmasters Club officially. The next week, they moved it to Wednesday. So the first date of the meeting is actually mixed up in history. They call it the 22nd, but it was really the 21st on a Tuesday. From then on, it went on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m., that very first club. What else was going on then? What else was a first? Just like any of you might be enjoying the Beijing Games right now, it was the first Winter Olympics. Before 1924, for the last 25 years, there had been Olympics, but there was no summer games and winter games. There were the Olympics. They had a couple snowy events, but in 1924, they separated the snow type events and tried something called the Winter Olympics, which also, like Toastmasters, survived since 1924. The 1930s was a time of rapid expansion for Toastmasters. It expanded to become a nationwide organization across America. And then in the middle of the 30s, the 38th club chartered was in Canada and British Columbia, and it officially became really Toastmasters International. That expansion continued throughout the next 4 decades. Africa, Asia, Europe, Australia, magnificent expansion of the original concept of George Sutton, and especially due to the work of Ralph Smedley. Let's jump ahead in our time machine 4 decades to 1970. An amazing person appeared, Helen Homer Blanchard. Now, Helen wanted to join a Toastmasters club, but the application form didn't even say male or female. Everyone was male in Toastmasters. So Helen put on her application form Homer as her first name, and she became the first known female member before Toastmasters allowed it. 3 years later, Toastmasters voted to accept women, and the explosion of membership continued by adding women to the membership. What else was happening in 1973? Well, personally, a sad thing happened for me. The Beatles broke up. But another amazing, memorable event happened, Apollo 13, the third planned manned mission to the moon, took off. And on the outward bound portion of their journey, the gas tanks exploded. Now, Tom, we all know, we saw the movie, Tom Hanks brought them home safely. My wife sometimes says, you know, there were no women in 1973 on Apollo 13. Maybe they would have come home a little bit safer or not had so much disaster. I don't know. I'll let you decide. But women were a part not only of future NASA missions, but certainly of Toastmasters. One more thing to flash back about those Olympics. In 1974, the Olympic Committee discovered they had made a mistake in 1924. An American ski jumper had finished in 4th place. And 50 years later, they discovered a scoring error. So rather than let that lie, they got 86-year-old American ski jumper, Mr. Haugen. He traveled to Norway and received at age 86 the bronze medal that was rightfully his from the Norwegian ski jumper's daughter, who had originally been awarded it in 1924. What happened next? Let's zoom a little another jump. It's Helen again. Helen Blanchard in 1985 became the first female international president, rising to the top of volunteer membership in Toastmasters International. Another decade, 1995. Wait, I skipped one. 1989, I joined Toastmasters. That's not a big part of their history. 1995, Toastmasters adapted to the changing world and technology. They got their first website. Now, I'd say if you joined in 1995, you'd know a meeting that was pretty much like the one in 1924. There were speeches, evaluations, and from evidence we have in the 1930s from meeting minutes, even table topics. 60 years Toastmasters been going forward, but it was the 2010 to 2020 decade where 3 intense, amazing things happened to Toastmasters that changed it like nothing had ever happened before. Those 3 things are the rebranding, pathways, and of course, the pandemic. In the rebranding, Toastmasters changed its tagline to "Where Leaders Are Made." It established formally the emphasis not only on communication, but on leadership training. Pathways was a major overhaul. Nothing like it had ever hit the Toastmasters education program before. Up till that point, all of Toastmasters education was in booklets and manuals that members could read, bring with them to the meeting. Pathways finally moved to an online platform. It was a rough transition. We moved all the training so that people could have the training online in multiple languages. But probably the thing that has affected Toastmasters most in its 119 first years was the pandemic. Apart from a few outlier posts like New Zealand and Tonga, all clubs went online. Toastmasters held a virtual online convention. The International Speech Contest went on. And not good news, Toastmasters lost 25 to 30% of his memberships. And we have some recovery to do to go back to pre-pandemic levels of membership. So we've arrived in 2020. And just before the pandemic, meetings are still the same as Ralph Smedley envisioned them. But here we are in our time machine, and it's only 119 years from George Sutton's first idea. Let's go forward. What might happen in the future? There's a famous old saying, it's very tough to predict things, especially about the future, but I'm going to try. In the 2030s, Toastmasters starts accepting cryptocurrency, and they mint their own crypto coin, the Toast coin, and all members use it in Toastmasters, and it takes over the world. In 2060, augmented reality invades training. Everything you do is with a headset on. The trainer is right in front of you. There's dynamic translation. Everyone in the world speaking every language can benefit from Toastmasters training. In 2090, artificial intelligence algorithms revolutionize Toastmasters once again. Members can decide what size audience they want. They choose an arena with 50,000 virtual audience members. The feedback has become a result of the biotechnology revolution. We get feedback on how big the pupils changed of our audience, how big their pulse raced when we told that exciting story. And we get graded, but not against each other. Toastmaster provides feedback on how much you improve in every role you take. It's a hit around the world. In 2110, Toastmasters launches its first district on the moon and its first club in an exoplanet. The planet Pandora. Remember Avatar? It's real. They will discover it 75 years from today, and Toastmasters will join them. Finally, in 2122, an android robot joins Toastmasters using the name of Helen Blanchard. He sneaks by the male, female, and other version of Homo sapien categories and becomes the first cyborg Toastmasters. And finally, in 2140, a bunch of rebellious people leave behind technology. They leave behind the online system. They find a bunch of old manuals and they meet together for an hour together in the only remaining basement in California. Well, I hope you've enjoyed a view through the past of Toastmasters and my ideas for what might be the future of Toastmasters. It's been a fun ride. I hope you enjoyed it too. Happy 40th anniversary to Transportation Toastmasters. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Matthew, for that very, very educational speech. We appreciate it. Special shout out to Ms. Helen Blanchard. Because of her, we are. Amen. At this time, I'd like to recognize Don Mercer. Don, you didn't have your last name up there, and it took me a moment to recognize you, but Don Mercer has been a very, very enthusiastic and contributing member to Transportation Toastmasters for a number of years until he decided to retire. We're going to hear a little more from Don a little later. Also, I'd like to recognize our Toastmasters from Hawaii, who's been visiting with us before, but because of Julie Townsend, they are here today. So thank you for coming. At this time, I am going to introduce to you a very long time Toastmaster, the longest reigning Toastmaster we have here in Transportation Toastmaster, who's also a great mentor to our club, who is going to lead in kind of a round table topic discussion today. And that is none other than Mr. Manish Modi. Please help me welcome Manish Modi.
Thank you, Madam Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and people from all over the world. Our club is not just 40-year-old today, but I'd like to tell all our past members, our club is truly an international club. We have Leticia, who joins us for the last 2 years every Thursday from Sri Lanka, and it is 11 p.m. in Sri Lanka when she joins us. We have John Gachugu. He's originally from Kenya. Now he's in Lansing. I am from India. So we have truly international club. We have people, we have men, women, people from all races, all religions. So we really are proud of being a truly international Toastmasters club in Lansing, Michigan. I'm so happy to see 7 members who I have known over the last 30 years, starting with Penny Dewey, Don Mercer, Doug Kuto, Vijay Jagdale, Kerry Cargill. Thank you all for coming and joining us. It's very hard to go after Matt and try to entertain you. I have a big shoe to fill in, so I'm going to ask for the help. And I'm going to start with the person who has given a wonderful, wonderful humorous speeches, and that is my friend and a longtime Toastmaster, Art Slabowski. Art, are you there?
Yeah, I hit unmute. I'm here.
All right, Art. Can you just talk for 1 minute about your Toastmaster experience or some funny story? I remember your speech back in time. How do we increase the employment? So don't push the cart back to the store. Don't go to an automated line. Let the store hire more people so we have increased employment. I will ever remember that story. But can you beat that in the next 1 minute or 1 minute and 30 seconds and tell us something real funny?
Oh, that gets kind of hard when you point the finger, you say, come up with something. But I did tell about the people who got their own groceries in the pickup zone because they were wearing a pickup. But I remember for the something you read, I brought in a kid's book about the duck's big mistake, how I forgot his name, but it's a series of books about this duck, and it's a picture book. And he invites his girl, he sees an ant in the room in his house, and he bangs it with a hammer. He wrecks a pipe, and his whole house gets flooded when he's inviting his girlfriend over for dinner. And I thought it was a really cute way for a children's author to illustrate an important lesson, that is, don't bring a massive solution to a small problem because it could go blow up on you. And it ends with, is it Henry the Duck? It ends with his girlfriend came over for dinner after he rebuilt the house, and Henry saw an ant and he ignored it. But the really funny thing about it was because it was a picture book, it was like 1 line per page. I tried to fill in some material between each page, but I was disqualified because I didn't make the 5-minute time limit.
Thank you, Art. Next one, Carrie Cargill. She was a member for a few years, but full of energy. She has moved on. Carrie, would you like to share one skill set that you had from our Toastmasters Club that you are still using? Carrie Cargill.
Oh, such a tough ask there. One thing that I'm using, I think I'd have to say that putting together my meeting agenda and presentation and being cognizant of time. So that is something, we have endless meetings every single day, and definitely putting together my meeting and my time limits and trying to keep people on schedule.
So Carrie, did you forget to put lipstick on? Is that why you don't have your face up? Just kidding.
No, I blame it on MSU students. I'm in East Lansing, and in the middle of the day, the bandwidth is so low around here that I can barely do a voice, much less video.
I'm just kidding. Thank you for joining. And I'm moving on to Penny Dewey. She was a member and a founding member when I joined the club back in 1990. Penny, tell us about your first Toastmasters meeting when you formed the club.
Well, back in 1982, our first meeting was to elect the officers. And I wasn't elected president for the first year. Somebody else decided that the co-founder of our club should be the president. And I thought, wow, you know, but it was a little disturbing. But what I learned was that, and what I really wanted to do was make sure that all of the people at MDOT and anybody else that wanted to join had the opportunity to improve their communication and leadership skills. I felt by establishing a club and have it succeed that I would have succeeded. And 40 years later, think of all the people's lives that we have touched by having a Toastmasters Club. It's truly amazing. And believe me, I am humbled. Thank you.
Thank you, Penny. You are somebody I always looked up to when I joined the club. And thank you for joining today.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to move on to Vijay Jagdale, who was a winner of a district humorous speech contest back in 90s. And he talked about the election and how people use the statistics very loosely to win any political office they want to. Of course, I asked him to repeat a condensed version of that speech, but he said, no, I don't have my notes. But DJ, what would you like to share about your Toastmasters experience?
Hi, Manish, and good afternoon, Toastmasters, or good evening, or good morning, depending on where you're on this planet. It is great to be here on the 40th anniversary. And yes, those were great memories when I was very active with Toastmasters. And I started out with this speech because we were close to the elections and did a humorous take on the politicians and what they would do to get elected. And lo and behold, it went all the way to the district, and I won the district championship. So I think one of the things I learned from that was humor. Most people find it really hard because you think of yourself as a stand-up comedian, but actually it's not. It's like a speech. You can follow the same same guidelines as a speech. Make sure you have beginning, end, and you have to have a well-timed punchline. You have to have some sarcasm in it, and so on. And but the whole idea is engaging the people through humor. And once you have humor, it can even be self-deprecating humor, and that actually connects with people even more. So that's what I took from that. You can use humor to immediately engage people, and then they are interested, and that's what you want. You want the people to be really interested in you right from the beginning, so you can get your point across. Thank you, Manish, for having me, and congratulations.
Thank you, Vijay. And for a minute, I'm going to go out of our club members, and Bruce Franson is here, and that's the gentleman I have seen for last 30 years or 32 years of my membership. So Bruce, tell us what keeps you in Toastmaster.
Hey, thanks, Manish. And, you know, I think for me, I joined Toastmasters originally because my boss told me during a performance review that when I was answering questions, I sometimes tended to repeat myself. And he said, I've heard about this Toastmasters group. You should go check it out because I think it could help you improve in that area. And so I went to my first meeting, participated in table topics at my first meeting, and won the table topics event at that club meeting. I remember to this day, I remember what I was asked, and I remember how I responded. And I haven't looked back for 35 years. I'm still involved. And why I'm still involved now, more so than anything, is it's an effort and a way for me to give back. You know, I've served in lots of leadership roles within the organization, and certainly given to the organization already. But I've received more back than I've ever given. And so now it's my opportunity to help others, you know, find that same sort of value from this organization, and that's why I stay involved.
Thank you. Thank you. Madam Toastmasters, how many more minutes do I have? Mary?
2 more.
2 more people are okay.
I'm done with the.
All right. So I have 2 more people to pick. Let me tell you my story. I came to United States in 1982, landed in Cleveland, Ohio, attended Toastmasters meeting in 83 January with my uncle. In 89, I took Dale Carnegie class, and that's where they told me, you have learned, but you need to practice, otherwise you will forget. So go join Toastmasters. And here I am. And just like Bruce said, it's time to give back. I enjoy. I'm retired. I don't have to do this. I don't go to the meetings. I don't have to do anything, but I just love being around with people who are full of energy and positive attitude. So I'm going to ask Don Mercer. He is also one of those person who was there, and Don and I had a untold competition who gets the ATM first at that time, and he won. So Don, please share your experience. Don Mercer.
Yeah, I remember that. We had the competition.
Hardly can hear you. Can you speak louder, please?
I was one of the founding members of Toastmasters. I remember the very first meeting they had. I was pretty shy guy then and couldn't say much in meetings. So my boss insisted I go, and I wasn't really sure that I wanted to, but I went and I enjoyed it. And I kept being a member, and until I retired, I was the last, I think, active founding member of the club. It was a challenge for me, but I enjoyed doing it.
Thank you, Don. Thank you. So during my membership, we had plenty of funny speeches, and I remember the gentleman who has passed away since then, Mr. Bill Prince. And his funniest speech was how to take a shower, how to apply soap, and how to clean your body. And that was the most hilarious speech I had heard, besides many other good speeches. So the last and not the least, I would like to ask our current president, Renee Piang. Renee Point, I am so sorry, Renee. You joined a couple of years ago, and you have been very active and engaged Toastmaster, and you even took on the president's role, and you are doing it so wonderfully. I'm so proud of you. So what is the one thing that brings you every Thursday back with so much energy? Renee.
Thank you, Manesh. I think about things that I want to accomplish in my life still, and things to add to my resume or list of accomplishments. And the things that I'm experiencing in Toastmasters is just keeps adding to that list. It's been a challenge and a very huge learning experience to be president of the club. One of the requirements for the president is to be at every meeting, so I'm there, but I love being there with all the people and actually seeing our members grow from when they first came as a guest and then did their icebreaker speech. They're starting to do contests, and you get their energy and it comes right back to you. I was learning recently about the give and receive. What goes around comes around. So if you're giving good energy at a meeting, it's going to come back to you, and those new members give you good energy, and you're going to give it back as well to the meeting and to the rest of the areas of your life. So it's a huge positive place to be.
Thank you, Renee. So our Toastmaster asked me that I have one more person to choose, and I would like to invite DeAndre Carter, who went from our club to represent our club at the regional level speech contest. DeAndre, tell us where you are and when are you coming back?
Hey, how's it going? Good to see everybody. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I am still here in Lansing and ever so grateful for the opportunity to participate in the speech competition because of Transportation's Toastmasters. So if we ever have time, that'd be a funny story to tell, but it definitely was a second home with wonderful people in the group that,
Okay, will you repeat it, please?
Yeah. I wanted to let you know in 1982, at the first meeting, Wayne Niles presented the word of the day, which was didactic, D-I-D-A-C-T-I-C. It means intended to teach, particularly in having moral instruction as an alternative motive. A didactic novel that set out to expose social injustice. That was the word of the day.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Penny.
Yes.
Now we're going to go to Matt Klonowski.
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to speak here. This is a great club. It's fun. It's friendly. I am myself a didactic person. The biggest experience I had that changed me in Toastmasters was when I was in prison in Florida.
Oh.
I wasn't an inmate. No, there was a club but the point of the prison was I used to drive a elderly retired lady's car who was a member, and I would drive her and I and sometimes someone else, and we would drive 90 minutes to get to the prison so that they could have a meeting. And it was the most rewarding period that I had before I left Florida in Toastmasters, that I thought we were giving to them, but it was this great experience from the prisoners in Florida. If you ever have a chance to get involved in prison-based Toastmasters clubs, to me, it is the most life-changing example. Thanks again, and happy anniversary.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. John, I forgot Carlotta. So if we can hear from Carlotta, and then to you, John.
What would you like to hear?
Any comments you want to share?
Well, I enjoyed visiting with Transportation Toastmasters back in the day to be a target speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a speech that I had done in my home club. And I was going to be delivering it in another location, probably at my job. And I really appreciate the opportunity to give it again. And it was my first experience being a target speaker. And I can see, I used to shake in my shoes when I saw other people do it, but I can see that when you have a speech that you enjoy and you're prepared to give it, you don't mind being a target speaker. I haven't volunteered again yet, but who knows? And so I know that one of the Transportation Toastmasters members started the club that I'm a charter member of, Greg Geikema. He was one of the starters.
Mm-hmm.
I got to experience him in his home club also. So happy anniversary, happy 40 years, Transportation Toastmasters, because I heard about you and now I know you exist.
Thank you so much, Carlotta. Thanks for sharing. John Gachuga. John, what's our timer for today, John? I think for the most part, we did okay till the end, but we did say to 1 or 1:30.
You did say that, yeah. Thank you to Madam Toastmaster. Thank you too for Renee, who's going to give this report for me because I had to leave, but you got me sooner. All our speakers spoke in a didactic manner, and we all learned so much things that we can carry with us in our career, particularly the speech by Doug, and also Matthew made the history very interesting. But for the sake of time, let me say that both our 12 main speakers were on time as well as our 2 main speakers. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, John. Is there anything anybody else would like to share before we close it out? I want to say thank you to Bron. He is in 86 and his club put on so many educational webinars and Toastmaster live presentations, very, very educational. And I want to say thank you for all of that, for all of your contribution to Toastmasters International. Also, he has a public speaking business, as well as Douglas Brinker. And I'm not sure if DeAndre has. DeAndre is a public speaker. All of these great talents derived from none other than Toastmasters. And Doug Kudo, we thank you so much for coming and being a part of our anniversary celebration. I know that you're very busy traveling, as well as Matt. We thank you very much. Thanks to all of you. Does anybody have any parting words?
I did forget to thank Manish Modi because after in my first contest, I went over time and I couldn't find the timer, but he came pointer. So I really appreciate the spirit that people have in Toastmasters. And I didn't even know at the time that he was a member of Transportation Toastmasters.
Thank you, Kalada. With that, we want to say to our founding members, our retired members, you're welcome to come back and join our club anytime. If you have a story to share, you're welcome to come back. You have our link. If not, just hit me up on Facebook. Thank you so much.
Mary, I think Doug
People
had
can
a
go on
comment.
our website.
Beg your pardon?
People can go on our website and come to the Zoom meeting.
Yes, exactly. Don, did you have something to say?
I think Doug had a comment.
Okay, Doug?
Yes, and I'm going to share it with just a select few on this window because for the first time in District 62 history, we are going to have a billboard very, very soon on a highway near you. Stay tuned for more details.
Awesome. Okay. On that note, anybody else? Going. Ron, did you want to say something?
Just thank you very much for the invitation, Mary, at the very last minute. I just had enough time to put on the shirt. Of course, you don't know what's below the shirt, but that's all right. You can see. I put my thank you note in the chat, so it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. On that note, everybody take care, be safe, and we love you. You're always welcome here. With that, the meeting is adjourned.